and welcome to the great city of New London on such a warm and balmy day here under the glorious sunshine. We are so happy to have the governor here today. We're here on very important issue to the city of New London. The city of Groton's represented here. Above us is the twin spans of the Gold Star Memorial Bridge. A very important lifeline, not only for this city, but for the state of Connecticut and for New England. I mean, it connects New York and New Haven with Providence and Boston. And it is heavily traveled, well over 100,000 cars a day. It's 76 years old. And we need to get to work on this bridge and preserve it. The industry driving the city of New London is General Dynamics electric boat. The subs are built on one side of the river, the design and the engineering are on the beautiful campus here in New London. And that industry is using this bridge back and forth all day long. It's part of the lifeblood of New London. Right now, the offshore wind industry is looking at New London as the hub to build the next green energy source for our country. And this highway is going to be important to that. New London has an intermodal transportation hub. We have ferries, we have rail, and this highway is the third leg of that. So we thank the governor for coming here today to show the commitment to rebuild our infrastructure. We're joined by our friends in labor. They're all going to go to work to get this job done, not just for the cities of New London and Groton, but for the region and for the state and for the interstate highway system in our country. So with that, I'd like to introduce the Deputy Commissioner of the Deputy Commissioner of the Department of Transportation, Anna Berry.
Thank you, Mayor Pissarro. Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us here today. I am Anna Berry, and the Deputy Commissioner of Connecticut DOT. Commissioner Giletti would love to have been here today, but he had a prior commitment that he could not change. But it is an honor for me to stand here today with Governor Lamont and all of you to talk about our shared vision for renewed investment in Connecticut's roads and bridges and the rest of our rail and bus transportation network. We are learning quickly how committed his administration is to moving our state forward. Today, as the mayor mentioned, we do stand in the shadow of the Gold Star Bridge, where we are about to begin a nearly $300 million rehabilitation on the northbound side of the bridge. That's the span closest to us. The original Gold Star Bridge was completed in 1943 and carried both northbound and southbound traffic. In 1973, we opened a new bridge for the southbound traffic only. And last year, we completed about $35 million in repairs on that bridge. Now we are ready to tackle the original 76-year-old span, and that work will start in May of next year. It should extend the life of the bridge by 30 to 40 years. Like most of our bridges and highway projects, we believe this work will have a positive effect on mobility and commerce for the entire region and the entire state. And as we talk about major projects like the Gold Star, I do want to emphasize how seriously the department takes its role as a steward of public dollars. We are committed to continuous improvement in all aspects of what we call project delivery. Our commitment is to continuously improve project quality, budget, and schedules for every phase. We have met with legislators and other officials and gone out of our way to keep the community engaged on this project. We think that process is working just like the two-way street that it should be. And the flip side of this is that you've also heard us talk recently about the annual impact of traffic congestion in Connecticut and its three largest metro areas, Hartford, New Haven, and the Bridgeport-Stamford corridor. We experience $81 million of hours of driver delay from being stuck in traffic during peak traffic hours. This delay volume amounts to almost $2 billion in cost to residents and businesses. So projects like this, the Gold Star projects, are worth it, and we believe worth finding the best way to pay for them. Thank you again for being here.
Thank you, Deputy Commissioner. And now we'd like to hear from Don Schubert, who is the president of the Connecticut Construction Industries Association. Don?
Thank you, Mayor and Governor. It's a pleasure to be out with you again today. You know, when it comes to infrastructure and transportation in Connecticut, we've talked about just about everything. We talked about relieving congestion. We talked about improving safety. We talked about providing mobility options. Most of you here today, we've talked about jobs. And it always seems to stop when it comes time when you talk about how you're going to pay for it. And for Governor, we can't thank you enough for starting this year's conversation on how we're going to pay for this. Thank you for your leadership. We really appreciate it. You know, this bridge is just, another example of how we pay for transportation in Connecticut. We can fund one project at the expense of another project. And I think it's becoming pretty evident that year after year, this routine we're in doesn't provide enough funding, and we're just heading down a path of more and more deterioration of roads, bridges, transit systems, you name it. It's time to turn it around. It's time to talk about a user-based, long-term funding stream. Governor, we can't thank you enough for your leadership on the issue. It's time to continue this discussion, and we're looking forward to working with you. Thanks for being here again.
And now it's my pleasure to introduce a great partner to the City of New London, and that's the Mayor of the City of Groton, Keith Hendricks.
Thank you, Mike. And for everyone that came out today, thanks for all the labor representatives for coming out today. As we kick off this project, this is a tremendous project taking care of infrastructure here, not only in this area, but in the region. This is a major thoroughfare between the City of Groton and the City of New London. This project is beneficial for jobs, which is very important in this area and in the region, and also for the economic development that we're going to be doing in the future. We have major projects between the city and New London that we're doing, and like Mayor Passero said, we are a hub here. We have a major interstate between Boston and New York. We have a deep water port. We have a railway, and we have an airport, all within about a mile of each other. So we are a major hub, and this is just part of it. And that is a driver, an economic driver for the work that we have coming in the future. And as Mayor Passero said, in the next 5 to 10 years, Electric Boat has an expansion of about 5,000 employees. And those employees are going to need a way to get over, and this is the major thoroughfare that they're going to use. And they go back and forth, and this is a major investment in infrastructure. So I appreciate the governor for his commitment to this, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Mayor Hendricks. And now it's my honor to introduce a great friend of New London. He's been here, I've lost track of the times since he's been governor. It hasn't even been 2 months, and we see him regularly. He's helping us with the issues. He recognizes the potential for New London and the City of Groton to drive the economy in Eastern Connecticut. He's on top of the issues. This is another really important issue that he's showing great leadership on. So thank you, Governor. It's all yours.
Thanks, my friend. Good afternoon, everybody. We got a lot of work to do here, and I'm surrounded by some folks who are ready to do the work, right? Yeah. We're ready to get going on this. And it's work that we've got to do. You know, Kenny just pointed out, watch yourselves. There's occasionally some cement coming down. Right over there, you pick it up the next day. And this is why this is the type of work we cannot put off any longer, postpone, maybe another generation to take care of it. This is something we've got to do now. It's really the economic future of our state as well as the safety issue. And that's why we're here today. And as the mayor's pointed out, I love coming back here. This is a part of the state that literally has the wind to our backs. I found that out yesterday at about 50-mile-an-hour gusts. And but I mean that seriously. I mean that in terms of what the mayor said in terms of going on at Electric Boat right now. And I see the thousands of jobs they're going to be adding on over the next few years alone. And how important that is. I was just down in Washington, D.C., and we were meeting with the Department of Defense, and they were saying, What do they look for when they're thinking about where do they want to expand? Where do they want to build the next generation of submarines or other type of hardware? And they look for a number of things. They said they look for the quality of the workforce, a talented workforce. They find that right here. They said we look for housing systems, so we make sure we have the next generation of housing. We're going to do some work on that as well to make sure this is a place where people can be. They care about a great education system, and we're doing well on education in both your cities. And they care about transportation, is what they told us. Transportation so folks can get in and out, so we can interconnect Groton and New London. That is so important as the Defense Department tries to make commitments looking out 10 and 20 years what this state is going to look for. That's another reason we are making a down payment on making sure if we're going to get Connecticut growing again, we got to make sure it's able to move, and that means fixing bridges like the Gold Star Bridge right here. And talk about wind to our back, as Mayor Passero said, this could be the wind capital of New England. You know, what we saw just yesterday in terms of those wind gusts, what we see in terms of a wind power coming off a state pier. Today, right now, as we're speaking, the legislature is taking under consideration our plan to allocate up to 15% of Connecticut's energy needs wind power. That means right here, State Pier is going to be the home to expanding and growing wind power to power our future. Clean, renewable power. That's what we need. And this is the time for us to be taking care of this. This is the time for us to be investing in our transportation. As Don said, you got to have an honest way that you're paying for this. We've come up with a reliable revenue stream that you can count on for the future, where 40% of it is paid for by out-of-state drivers. I think this is a plan that we're going to go forward with and make a difference. I'll just leave you, with a thought that when I was down in Washington, D.C., I had occasion to have a brief conversation with Vice President Pence. And the one place we all agreed, he said, we have a president who's a builder. And this builder president is committed to having an infrastructure bill that gets through the House and the Senate, hopefully this year. A bill where hopefully the federal government will pay more than its fair share, 80% plus, of big projects like this, which makes it so important that Connecticut be at the front of the line. Connecticut ready to hit the ground running. Connecticut making sure we have designs in place so when that funding is available, we're able to do it. And make sure that Connecticut has a revenue stream in place so we can put up our 20%. Make sure that the Gold Star Bridge and bridges like this around the state are safe and navigable. And that not only means that our cars get by, but as we also fix our rail bridges, that speeds up Shoreline East and our other rail. We continue to make sure that this is a state that moves again and grows again. And I'm so proud to be your governor and be able to say this is a project near the top of our list. Let's get going. Thank you, everybody.